Good Lord, Tony Schiavone's busy at Starrcast.
Well, that's what he does.
Clearly. This lineup is pretty loaded.
Yeah, and that's without Ric Flair, which we will have to discuss.
Hey, man, Ric Flair's out of the hospital look pretty good, man. They got that shot of him in the wheelchair, but, everybody leaves by wheelchair, but he looked good. Yeah. They said he's doing good. What's up, everybody? Travis, Brother Bob, with the Starrcast II Double or Nothing special coming at you. Bob playing with the frames.
I am.
All the things.
I'm playing with all of the frames.
It's the other button, Bob.
It's the other button? Which one of the other buttons?
I don't have that in front of me.
We're only shooting, two videos in a night,
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
So the big weekend is here. AEW's running its very first show, and man, where do we start? I guess Starrcast, right?
Yeah,
Starrcast kicks off on Thursday. Obviously, Double or Nothing Starrcast, Las Vegas, and whoa, look at that!
Look at the schedule. Yeah, see,
that's almost, you can almost read that.
Well, if you had a bigger screen, you could.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
If you need a larger version of this, it's all available on the Fight TV webpage. You can go in and view their schedule there. That's where I took all the information from when making this graphic. So, and this is updated since Ric Flair is not going to be there due to still recovering from surgery. So this has been updated. It looks like they have added a watch party for Ready to Rumble in that spice. So we'll go through the schedule. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So Bob, I mean, it looks like 3.5 days. Thursday's an abbreviated day, but it looks like 3.5 days loaded up with stuff. What are you most excited to see?
Well, I mean, I think everybody's going to be excited for. JR. We'll start with Thursday. We're here, and we'll talk about it as we go through. JR has really, really been pushing the Remembering Owen. He said it's going to be a must-see. So that's something, if you're ordering the week on Starrcast, make sure you check that out. It's going to be 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, and it's up against an evening with Cody and the Bucks. So both of those things will be great. Thankfully, if you order with Fight TV, you get unlimited replays, so you can catch both of those things even though they're on at the same time. But yeah, JR said some really amazing things. He said to expect a really hard discussion and to be coming prepared for that Remembering Owen panel segment, whatever they're calling it.
So, yeah, it should be really good. Maybe we'll get some insight from people who were there. Obviously, JR. It sounds like he's going to be a big part of it. At least that's kind of how it's shaping up or sounding. Yeah, I mean, I think every day is just got something that is going to be not to be missed, or multiple not misses. Eric Bischoff would get. I'm sure he'll leave Starrcast being in a shoot with somebody else. But he is. I'm kind of torn by his 83 Weeks podcast. I feel like there are times where he doesn't give nearly as much as he could, but in person and live, he can be a very good and engaging storyteller. So maybe that's good. I think on Friday, JR and the King, obviously, just wow. Anytime those guys get together and you get to listen to them, and looks like Sting behind the paint,
which I am so bummed that's the one thing about this Starrcast I am really bummed about not being there for. Having done the last one, a lot of this stuff I'm like, okay, well, a lot of this is cool, but I'm not super bummed. But man, like as Sting marks, we're both pretty big Sting marks, and man, it would have been really cool to be there for that live.
Yeah, definitely. And listening to him talk about, his career, but and then obviously the live podcasts will all be fun. And those are staggered out, I think on purpose, just a little quick hour here, hour there type things. Yeah, I think for me, JR and the King, Sting, and then Bret Hart is going to be great.
What about
that's all stuff
Double A? Arn Anderson's got his own something or other. It's just it's listed on the schedule for Friday at
just 5:30. The schedule I'm looking at, it just says Arn.
Yep, that's what it says on the Fight TV page too. So I don't know if
Arn.
I think originally it was supposed to be him and Rick doing something, and it may have been him on Rick's podcast or something of that nature. But like I said, the schedule had to be updated since Rick can't be there, so that is why I'm assuming it still just says Arn. But
So I love Arn. Arn's one of my favorite wrestlers ever. I'm a huge Arn Anderson mark. If you've ever heard me talk about it, like I gush, and I fanboy over Arn. I really feel like, one of the great shames is the fact that his career was cut short with that neck injury and losing strength and feeling in his arm, and he's seen so much, but he is in shoot interviews that I have heard, and there's not a ton of Arn shoot interviews out there.
Why this should be really good.
Yes. Yeah. The ones I have heard though, unfortunately he's very reserved.
Yep.
Not that he doesn't share, but he's very he's very low key guy, and I think I would like to know more about this. I think I'm going to have to. I wasn't actually aware of this segment. I'm going to have to go look. I'm curious to see if this is just him talking or if he's going to be there with an interviewer, who that's going to be. Because if they put the right person to kind of host and interview him and deep dive with him and pull stuff out of him, I think this could be just an all-time epic.
I'm sure they'll have somebody do interviews. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be part of like him and Ric Flair and doing an interview, maybe even for Flair's podcast. And that's why we don't have more information as yet. But at Starrcast, when we went, the podcast hosted some wrestlers, and then of course the host of the podcast was doing the questioning. And then for stuff where it wasn't a podcast, for some of the other things, they always had a MC who kind of asked the questions and kind of led the discussion and made sure to keep things on track. So I'm sure they'll have somebody doing that again. Who offhand I do not know.
Yeah, I think there's some real potential there. Yeah, I guess my biggest question is kind of, does that live up to the hype in my mind? Do Brother Bruce and Eric Bischoff make it out without killing each other? Apparently they have atomic heat now.
Yeah,
I still don't understand what that Twitter war was sparked over, but it was.
I assume it has something to do with Bruce going back to WWE, because it was right at that same time.
Yeah, it was, but it was, Eric twittered, "Fuck Bruce Pritchett," and I was like, well, okay. And I never really got the full explanation. I didn't do I didn't follow it that closely, so maybe that's on me. If somebody knows, just tweet at me. I'd be, I could probably go find out, it's probably out there, but I was like, oh boy, that's atomic heat. But there was a lot going on. So yeah, the card top to bottom, as we can see, is loaded up with really cool stuff.
I'm sure everybody's going to tune in for the press conference and weigh in. That was super popular at the first Starrcast, and that also is on Friday night. And then I don't know. Anytime I get to listen to Colt Cabana, I'm happy too. I mean, he's been really good to us when we've met him, and been good to the kid. So it's always good to see Colt.
Yep, and just this is it's a solid lineup all the way through. For those ordering it, Fight's gonna let you watch unlimited replays. You're gonna be able to watch it, and you don't have to set and watch it all at once. That's very nice. The ones that do have double ups, you're gonna be able to watch them both. Very cool things. Yep. So very excited. I know you and I are going to be checking out various things. And because of the unlimited replays, I'm just kind of going to whittle my way through it. Probably it'll probably take me, a week and a half to really whittle my way through everything that I want to see. But definitely going to try and check out a couple of the things live. The Arn Anderson segment, definitely, and probably if I'm around and have access to a screen, maybe watch JR and the King on Friday live. So that'd be good.
Yep. And we'll be streaming it nonstop at Smarkdown Studio. So anybody who is considering, not ordering Starrcast in All In due to the price point, and you're in West Michigan, find our Facebook page and hit us up, because we're hosting. Come on over, hang out with us. We'll be streaming it all weekend long. So
I think if I make it back into town in time, we're going to Double or Nothing is going to be our first live watch stream. We're gonna do a pay-per-view companion with it for the first time. We've been talking about doing it, and timing's never really set up. And if I get back, we both want to watch it. I think we're gonna watch that live on the air and comment as we go.
And I think that'd be a lot of fun. And Saturday is the short day for Starrcast. Looking at the schedule, there's only 2 blocks worth of panels going on due to All In being that night. So that'll be a shorter day for everybody. I'm sure people will be trying to get their autographs and stuff in that morning. And then Sunday, I'm kind of excited. Sunday we got an Extreme Rivalry, Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn. That was a good time. I know you're a ECW fan. I don't know if you have any fond memories of that feud, but I always really enjoyed RVD versus Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, RVD's ECW run, and I am not transparency. I have this weird, I have a fond appreciation of what RVD has done in the ring, but every time I've interacted with RVD, it's been a horrible experience. So I guess that says something.
How high was he when you?
Dude, I don't know, but he's always been kind of a dick, and it's like man, but he's just so good in the ring. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe. And I always want to give guys the benefit of the doubt, because I've had, the occasional run-in with wrestlers that have been great, and I've had them where they've been bad, and I try not to be that guy, that fan. I talk about one of my favorite stories was I walked into a truck stop late one night south of Detroit and turned the corner to walk from the actual truck stop into the restaurant, and I walked into Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Literally, I walked into Animal's back. It was 1 a.m. I was tired. I was kind of shuffling, and he just happened to be, him and Hawk happened to be right there. And I kind of turned, I didn't hit him hard or anything, but I bumped into him a little bit and kind of stumbled. And I was kind of, and they turned around, and, they were real cool. And I was like, oh, excuse me, and I was like, holy shit, Road Warriors. And we all had a chuckle. But Animal wasn't feeling well. You could tell he just wasn't. They were getting a little bit of food. They had the rental car. There was a show in Detroit. You could tell he was off, and so I was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big fan, guys. Obviously been following you forever. This is really cool for me. It's pre-camera phone day. Yeah. I had a cell phone, but it was pre-camera phones. But I got to just give them a little appreciation, but they had worked. You could tell they had worked that night, and like I said, Animal's a little off, and this was confirmed as they went out to the car and got in the car, and Animal opened the door and got sick into the parking lot. So I was like, oh, but I didn't try to fanboy, so I've had a couple of those experiences. I did have to take and stop my girlfriend from going across the street and molesting CM Punk when he was out on a jog one day. Yep. We were visiting friends in Chicago, and we were driving home, and I'm driving and I don't see it because I'm paying attention to traffic. She's like, holy crap, that guy looks like CM Punk. And I look over and I was like, that's because that is CM Punk. And she's like, wait a minute, that's not CM. I'm like, that's CM Punk. And he's jogging towards us, right? And he's getting closer. She's like, holy crap, that is CM Punk. Holy crap, CM Punk's really hot. I want to go ask him for his arm. I'm like, you do not get out of this car and go bother the man on his run.
Yeah.
Like, so don't be that fan, guys.
Unless you think you can actually keep up with him, then I think jog with him. But I don't suggest getting in front of him.
Don't be that douchey fan.
Yeah.
All right.
So
right?
I don't even think I shared this with our New York stories. So we're there for G1 WrestleMania weekend, and I'm walking down the street trying to figure out where to turn because we're walking from the Joey Ryan Experience documentary to the Madison Square Garden Arena. So we're walking around, and I'm trying to figure out what direction to go to and from these things. And I got the phone out, and I'm looking down at my phone. I'm like, all right, where's my turn? And Jordan's like, holy crap! I'm like, what? He's like, did you see who that was? I'm like, where? Who? He's like, he walked right by us, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, who? He's like, that wrestler. And I'm like, more. You need to give me more. He hit the guy with a chair. More. You need to give me more. He's with New Japan. I still need more. He's like, the one who does this. I'm like, Naito just walked by us? He's like, yeah, that's it, Naito. I'm like, damn it, Jordan. What are you doing? I'm like, why? He's like, yeah, I waved to him and he waved back. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's when you stop me and say, oh my God, look. Like, so yeah, I mean,
this is getting away from the Starrcast Double or Nothing show and turning into the wrestling story show.
Yeah, well, I had to share that one. I don't think we brought it up during any of the coverage.
No,
so I mean, it's one to share.
No, it does kind of lead back to Rob Van Dam, and the last one I'll share before probably the coolest single experience I ever had with a wrestler. It's the one that sticks out in my memory most, and it's the absolute opposite of every experience I've ever had with Rob Van Dam. And nothing personal, Rob. Again, maybe you're just having bad days. I don't know.
Dude, Rob was probably on that Firefly Experience. Because there's a strain of marijuana named after that at this point. There has to be.
Yeah, again, this was way before the Firefly Experience. This is years ago.
Probably where they got the name from.
Yeah. So I was a much younger person. I must have been, I don't know, 11 or 12, very young. And we went and saw WWF TV tapings, and at the old, they used to do the TV tapings in our hometown at the old Civic Theater, what was called the Civic Theater, in the annex called the Voss Hall. That was the name of it. But if you knew, like everybody who went kind of knew, if you went around behind the building and you could walk back there was like no security. You could just walk back there. It was on the riverfront. The building ended, and then there's the parking lot for a talent and employees and whatnot, and it bumps right up against the river in downtown. And you could just walk back there. There's a public sidewalk that goes back there. There's no fences, no nothing. And you could catch the talent coming out after the shows. And this was all the big talent would just come out and go to their car, and if you were back there, there'd usually be about 100 people, 50 to 100 people back there, looking for their guys to get autographs. And I did that one time. I got to do that, and Macho Man was there.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless Randy Savage. He was face Randy at the time. He was the coolest wrestler I've ever met. He was 100% kayfabe, talking like the Macho Man, just real quiet, just keeping it real. Oh yeah, I'll sign that autograph for you, no problem. Like full on 100% macho, wearing street clothes but wearing the jacket and carrying his bag. And just, he was the coolest guy as a 12-year-old. Obviously, it's Macho Man, right? And I'm a young fan, and he took the time to just be really super cool with all the kids, and and the adult. Well, he was cool with everybody, but like really focused on us kids. Anybody that looked 15 and under, got to basically hug the Macho Man, and he talked to every one of us, went to his car, waved as he left. and it was the absolute opposite of every like like Rob Van Dam just being like, I'm like,
Yeah.
All right, dude, I get it. Like, I'm not, and it wasn't like I was just bothering him. It's not like I was following him to a bathroom to get his autograph, right? Like, we're from Michigan. Rob spent a lot of time here over the years. It's like, hey man, we're big fans. I've done that. Hey Rob, big fan. Just want to let you know I really enjoy your work, and I get the it just kind of blows me off, and that's happened multiple times. I'm like, okay. So,
well, if you're gonna be at Starrcast, when we're talking about meeting people, go visit Tamatanga and Tangaloa. Let them know Smarkdown Radio sent you. We hooked the boys up with some beers when they were here in Beer City a couple weeks ago, and man, we love those guys. So if you go see them, let them know that Smarkdown Radio sent you, guys. But
hey,
yeah,
Tamatanga might be on this show, right?
One might. Well, I would hope. I really would like to.
He's offering, take him up on the offer.
Sure
Sign
is.
him to one. All right, let's talk a little bit about the card, because that's what we really want to talk about, right? So, the Battle Royal. I think the biggest thing, and there's a lot of names in the Battle Royal. I think the biggest thing is, the announcement. We knew that the winner would receive a shot, as it says here, the newly crafted.
That's their graphic.
Yep, that's the graphic. But news broke today, or in the last 24 hours. Let me say that, of the time we're recording this. The news is broke. The AEW World Champion will be crowned in a match. The winner of the Battle Royal, the Casino Battle Royale, and the winner of Jericho and Omega will face each other to determine who the first ever AEW World Champion is going to be.
Yep.
So, and obviously, skipping way ahead to the main of what we assume is going to be the main event, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. We'll talk about that, but that was the big news that came out about the Battle Royal. We still don't. It's been said 21-man Battle Royal. We still don't know everybody who's in the Battle Royal. That Tony Khan has been coyly and sheepishly hinting there are big surprises for the Battle Royal. There's a lot.
There are a few names we know. We know Brandon Cutter. We know Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. We know Glacier, which is a blast from the past. He's going to be in it. So I mean, yeah, there are some names they have released, but nowhere near that 21 that is being advertised. So.
The last count I saw, Bob, was like 12.
Yeah.
So it's about. There were still significant people missing in terms of the list of Battle Royal, but I think what I'm talking about and referring to is, and what Tony's hinting at is the really big surprise.
Yeah.
And that has been fueled in the last, I don't know, 12 hours, the conversation about who the big surprise is going to be, because I think everybody assumed it was going to be Jon Moxley,
well,
right?
I mean, the guys who are there that aren't surprises would have been surprises if they didn't mention them. I mean, they've mentioned Ty Dillinger now. They've brought up they've mentioned that Brian Pillman Jr. is going to be there, and he's a pretty big name. A lot of people love him as far as independent wrestlers. So I mean, they've already announced those guys, and that leaves people speculating, like you said, Jon Moxley, and also a lot of people talking about CM Punk. The only way CM Punk works, all right, is if they have him there, they put him in that Battle Royal, he hops on a private jet and flies to Coachella, because he's got a MMA show to do commentary for in Coachella the same night, and I believe that's around 9:00. So theoretically, he could possibly show up for the pre-show Battle Royal and then leave, but that's one where you have to pull quite a few strings to do it. I mean, if they do, it is a standing ovation for me to not only pull the trigger on someone like CM Punk in the pre-show, but to be able to do it on a night where he's got to be somewhere else later that evening. That's a lot of work, guys. So I don't expect it to happen, but not that it can't.
I think it's wishful thinking. I think it is highly likely at some point we see CM Punk in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is on Double or Nothing.
Yeah. I think it makes sense for him to be at that whenever they return to Chicago.
The Chicago show would make huge sense.
Yep.
Is it there's a couple ways to look at this. Okay. Do you put him on the pre-show, generate an enormous amount of hype? Let's say, first of all, we have to assume that he's coming back to wrestling.
Yep.
And they signed a contract. And okay, let's assume, let's play devil's advocate and assume that is what has happened. Mm-hmm. Okay. You put him on the pre-show. Right out the gate, comes out and wins. He's going to get a shot at the title. Yeah, it's logistically possible. You have to fly him to his other obligation. He has to do that. But that gives you X amount of months to build him in a title match in his hometown. There's some upside to that. Mm-hmm. There's also upside to not putting him there and having him debut in Chicago and having that title match be unrelated. That way, you don't immediately put him in a position where, he kind of has to win that. Otherwise, whoever he's facing is, going to be booed out of existence. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are positives and negatives to both. Again, that's assuming it's Punk. Yep. And again, people are pointing to the MMA show. He has a commitment. The three names that I've seen quite a bit of in the forums were Punk, MMA show, Moxley, who allegedly may be in Vancouver shooting a movie, mm-hmm. but they don't know what the movie schedule is. It's very vague.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. I don't even know what it is. I know Uncle Dave has reported that it is unlikely that it will be there. That could be a work. He could be getting fed disinformation. We don't know. So, but it would make sense. My thing is they're not going to, I don't feel like there's anybody in this battle royal yet. No offense to the guys that are named. There's no name grabbing, attention headline driving, like elite guy mm-hmm. that I'm going to get super, super excited when they face either Jericho or Omega for the first ever title, which leads me to believe that whatever name is coming in is going to be a huge name. That's why I think the first two are Moxley and Punk are like the kind of the obvious ones. The third name that the IWC keeps throwing around, at least like the really, the hardcore independent guys, is Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think he generates, again, this is not me just hating on Joey, like, because everybody knows I'm not a fan of Joey Ryan. If I thought Joey could generate enough like interest as the first ever guy going for the title against one of those guys, I'd admit it. I don't think there's enough appeal there. I think the hardcore guys that love Joey Ryan would be marking out.
Yeah, they
would be the only ones.
They would need to introduce Joey Ryan to fans who don't know Joey Ryan before they put him in a title program of any kind.
And the other thing is he has a date in, at least this is what I saw, he has a date in Cleveland that night. He's working a show in Cleveland that night.
Well,
so
I'm wondering how that works, because he's supposed to also be at the debut for his documentary in Vegas over Starrcast weekend and giving out T-shirts and things. So maybe he's going to be there on Friday and fly out Saturday to head to the Cleveland. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure how that all plays out, but
I'm just telling you, like, I saw that he had a booking for a promotion in Cleveland. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got some. I could have some misinformation there. We can double check that real quick.
But
look,
I can give you my theory.
I don't think Joey's a big enough name.
Yeah.
Like again, and that's not like Bob. You've become a really big fan of this guy because of the documentary and stuff. I am not. And this is a great. We both agree on this. He's not a big enough name. I don't know. Other than that's the thing. I don't know other than Moxley.
I have a theory.
I have a
theory. All right, so we know that we're not getting Pac and Hangman. The internet's telling us that it's due to creative differences. A lot of the theory goes that the promotion whose championship he holds, they did not want to see him, lose on the Double or Nothing card to Hangman. We also know, and I mean that's something, that's kind of where we're at with that. We also know the fact that originally this Battle Royal was being touted as we'll get a shot at the champion at a later time, and now is being touted as getting a shot at the title in the first ever title match. My theory is that when this Pac Page match broke down, they were planning to maybe announce that Pac versus Page was and Jericho and Omega were going to be the winners of those two matches would face off, and they were going to have Page go over. He talked a lot about wanting to be champion at AEW and promised he would be within the first year and stuff of that nature. So what if Adam Page is the one who they end up putting as winner of this Battle Royal to then get him into the title picture because he doesn't have his singles match anymore? I mean, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I think it is more likely than Punk coming in. I think it's at least as likely as Moxley. So I mean that's kind of my theory, and that would be my pick for this Battle Royal. With how little we know, I tend to believe that we're gonna see Hangman Page show up at that 21 spot, limp on in, eliminate the last however many guys, and have that title shot in his back pocket.
That very well could be. I know. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. There's a lot more info that has come out about the whole Pac and Page situation, and it seems like because of the quote unquote creative differences isn't so it sounds like at least what's being reported is they were going to have Page lose to Pac anyway.
Okay.
And then they were going to set up Pac and Omega for the title. And he was going to have to lose to Kenny.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the issue. So what they're doing is they're punting on this. That's why AEW apparently paid for that match over in England.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how they're just punting on it, because I feel like Pac's getting a bad rap right now.
Yeah.
For wanting to protect that title, the Dragon's Gate title. And you know what? Like, I feel like I got to give him some credit. Like a lot of people are like, oh, he's a diva. Oh, he's so hard to work with. This is his problem in WWE. Well, he's their world champion. You got to be real selective about who you're losing to.
Yep.
If and when you lose. And it's not that he's not willing to go. He's worked draws. But he doesn't want to put somebody over when he's the champion, because he's trying to protect the title and that's how business used to be done, guys. Yeah. Like I've got some respect for that. I feel like if anything, this is a little bit of creative in the backstage dropping the ball and not being a little more prepared. And I mean, these are the hiccups that a startup company is going to have to deal with. Like, the big thing is it sounds like they've got it fairly fixed. It's people are guessing. It's got people talking, if nothing else. People still got the match. There's a lot of upside to this. Just while we were talking, I did pull up Joey Ryan's schedule, and it does look like he is screening This Is Wrestling, the Joey Ryan story in Las Vegas at Starrcast on the 23rd. And that doesn't make any sense. That would be, well, yeah, I guess it would. Today's Thursday, so he's in Vegas on Thursday. I'm like looking at my calendar. I'm like, wait a second. Oh, it's after midnight. So technically, yeah. So he's in Vegas on Thursday. and they're doing the movie on Thursday,
which I recommend you go check out, people. It was really good, and they're also giving away free T-shirts to I think they said the first 100 people, something ridiculous. And it's going to be a limited edition type thing. So definitely go check that out if you're in town. I highly recommend it.
And then Friday he is at Starrcast from 1 to 3, and then he flies out to Oakland, California to work for Hood Slam.
Okay.
And then on the 25th, which is Saturday, he's in Cleveland, Ohio for AEW. Okay. So
busy weekend for Joey Ryan.
And then he's back in.
He did reach out to the Bucks and on the Twitter machine. It was like, hey, I don't have a match for Starrcast when people were talking about Hangman Page needing a opponent. So I'm assuming that's probably just him, working the Twitter fans. But I was like, hey, how about a triple threat, you, Hangman, and Tama Tonga? But because I really want to see Tama Tonga on that card.
I mean, he's loaded up. Yeah, he's doing the movie today, the 23rd. The 23rd, Starrcast the 24th, Hood Slam the 24th, AEW in Cleveland on the 25th, and then on Sunday he flies to Austin, Texas to work for Inspire. Yep. So I mean, he's loaded up for the weekend, so it's not going to be Joey Ryan, guys. I did see one other interesting name that kind of made me mark out, and I think this one it's not going to happen, but man, I would lose my stuff. Somebody pointed out that Minoru Suzuki is not exclusive to New Japan.
Yeah, I'd mark out.
Yeah, I'd mark out. Yeah, we all know. I was like, he's not. He's not exclusive to New Japan.
Minoru Suzuki versus Kenny Omega for the first ever AEW Championship match.
Oh,
I'd be okay with that.
I'm more than okay with that. Please, God. Somebody did say that. Somebody pointed out that Minoru is not an exclusive New Japan guy.
That just gave me chills up my spine, dude. Legit.
And that's why I'm like, no, it's not going to happen, because it's but maybe it does, but I just don't think it's going to happen. They also mentioned that Jushin Thunder Liger is not on an exclusive contract with anybody.
Great to see him show up. I mean, I know he wanted to tour.
More realistic. Yeah. I think it's a higher possibility of Liger showing up, not winning, but showing up and getting a big pop and being a big part of that. I could totally see that.
That'd make Jordan happy. He is such a Jushin Liger mark. It makes me such a proud dad.
So I mean, but I feel like we still don't know who that big name is going to be in there.
So now you know what has to happen, though. I have to ask you, who's your pick? I know we don't know anything, but I told you my theory. I think I'm going with Hangman Page. Who's your pick for this Battle Royal? Who do you think is going to end up being the winner?
It's Moxley.
You think it's Moxley?
That's my pick. I'm gonna go with the safe pick. I feel like you and I right now with Hangman and Moxley, those are the two safest picks. Mm-hmm.
I just think nobody else has mentioned Hangman and kind of put it together the way I just did. I haven't seen it anywhere online, anybody talking about that, and I don't know, it just seems kind of to fit for me, and that's kind of why I want to go that route. I mean, it just seems to fit real well.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I feel like both Hangman and Moxley are kind of the obvious picks. And because there is so little information, there isn't. If there were a couple more free agents kind of out there, maybe I'd go off the wall. But everybody's kind of locked in right now. If somebody like Jay Lethal wasn't under an exclusive contract, I'd maybe be like, that'd be really good. But he's Ring of Honor exclusive, and there's not a lot of guys out there that you can really that haven't been named that are that top tier, already have a following and would make an impact. So that's Page, Page and Moxley are the two that I'm looking at, and Punk would be the really outside, like that would be even after we've talked about it, we've like detailed how that could work. I think that is such a stretch. I would still be shocked after talking about it. I would be stunned. I would be as stunned as Michael Cole told me that the crowd was when Lesnar came out and won. Like, I would be that stunned. I would just wouldn't know what to say. Okay, like Punk's there for real.
Well, we know two guys who won't be in that match, and that's Kip Sabian and Sammy Guevara, as they have a one-on-one match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. I have a feeling it's going to be a little high spotty.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's going to be a little flippy. But hopefully, my hope is that's the other thing I'm worried about with this show and the AEW show in general is we're going to get a lot more wrestling, and I'm worried that these guys are going to go and like by the third match, the crowd's going to be burnt out because they're going to have seen everything that you could possibly do. And by the time we get to the main event, we're going to be like, what does anybody have left?
But let me counter that with the fact that I realized something while putting all these graphics into the software. And I put all the graphics in for each individual match and was like, I feel like I'm missing something. And I went back and looked at their webpage, and I went back and looked at their tweets, and I'm like, am I missing a match? And I went back and looked at the roster. I'm like, no, I have all the matches. It feels really light. And I realized the reason it feels really light is because I have been putting these damn things together for WWE products that go for 7 years, and freaking like Wrestle Kingdoms and things where you got a 5-hour pay-per-view. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you're going to get longer matches that are going to have, a little bit more to them. And I don't know. I think if the matches have a bit more to them and they allow it to build more naturally, I don't think fans are going to burn out quite as easy. We haven't seen them burn out that way for New Japan and their longer shows. And I think we can see fans stay with it if it's booked properly. And, that looks like the direction AEW is going.
Yeah, this feels like a 3-hour pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Like looking at the card, it feels like a 3-hour pay-per-view. But I really hope that we don't see everybody trying to jam everything into their matches, and they do focus on storytelling. And I'm really curious to see if we're going to get the sports style presentation that Tony's been talking about, and talking up if they're going to hit that right from the get.
Yeah.
Like that I'm really curious. But yeah, Sabian and Guevara, I think this is going to be really good. It'd be high energy, probably a really good opening match, a way to get the crowd, right in and get them energized, start hot, and go from there.
Who do you got in this match?
Oh, I almost hate to pick because I feel like it's coin flip. I think we're gonna learn a lot depending on who wins and loses on how they're trying to establish things. And it's again, first show ever. I think the further up the card we get, the easier it is to pick matches. But the undercard is so hard to pick. I mean, flip a coin. Yeah. Like flip a coin. I have no idea.
I think Sammy's probably gonna get the win. We've seen a lot of him on Being the Elite, and every time he enters a room, people are like, "Oh, I hate that Sammy Guevara guy," and then he kind of wins him over, like talking to him or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, he's really not that bad of a guy." I feel like he's gonna do something dickish in his match at Double or Nothing. But that's just kind of what I foresee happening. Like you said, it could very well be a coin flip. But the next match, man, we got a 6-woman match.
Yep, which, six-woman tag match, yep. And this match here is a pure establishment match.
Yeah,
this is to introduce us to the women's talent. Especially the foreign women's talent that they have signed.
Yes.
And I don't know much about anyone in this match, okay, other than I saw them get signed. You know, I have not followed like indie / overseas women's matches much. If it's on, you know, if it's on a pay-per-view I'm watching, I watch. I usually enjoy it, but my guess is we're going to see a lot of strong style stuff in this match.
I've heard a lot of good things about Asia Kong just being a complete beast, and I mean, she looks it, so we'll see where that goes.
Women's division can always use a good monster.
Yeah, and it looks like they got a couple. We'll get to another one here when we get to the triple threat, but yeah.
Definitely. But I think this is an intro match. I think it's going to be solid. I don't think it's going to steal the show or anything by that means, but this is just purely, hey, look at our talent. Just enjoy this match for what it is, an introduction to a bunch of new talent, and my guess is they're going to try and tell a nice little story. Someone's going to get put over strong and build from there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of those ones, like when we talk about not really knowing who to choose, like who's gonna win, like this is totally a coin flip. Like I haven't seen anything to lead me to believe one team would win over the other. Like they haven't really promoted it through YouTube or anything in a way that one team looks like, you know, that they're being pushed is more interest in them or whatever. It's really a coin flip in this one.
Yeah.
And then
Best Friends and Angelico Jack Evans. Look, man, it'll be interesting to see real tag team wrestling that matters.
I'm so excited.
I think that AEW is going to look to establish the Best Friends as a tag team. I think they're going to pick up the win, establish them as kind of, you know, try to build a little bit of a following, see how the crowd reacts to them, give them a nice win. There's a couple other, you know, there's a couple other tag teams they could potentially work with moving down the line, and I would expect to see just kind of a very solid, straightforward, good competitive tag match out of them. I think this match is not going to be a ton of flash, which is totally good.
I like what they've done with the Best Friends on being the Elite as well. That they announced they were going to book them in the Battle Royal, and then they were, you know, they were like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not going to be in the Battle Royal. We're here for tag team wrestling. I'm like, okay, I like hearing that from a tag team.
Yes.
And you know, they went completely too far with it, and like, you know, called into Matt and Nick and like with like a filter on their phone to like threaten like that they're gonna like kidnap and murder their children if they don't put the Best Friends in a tag match. And then of course they screwed up and walked outside of the pixelization so you could see who it was. And I mean, so that was funny, but you know, they're kind of a heel tag team, but they do goofy stuff, and I'm good with that. I'm like, it's different than WWE. WWE likes to have these goofy faces, and if you're have any kind of comedy to you, you have to be like this face character. And I'm like, no, I'm okay with like a goofy heel. Like I you know, that'd be different for a change. It's something we haven't seen in a while, and you know, I'm cool with that. I really like the Best Friends
as long as they're goofy. But when you could be goofy. That's the thing. Like WWE, like you could be goofy if you're winning and you're dominant in the ring. Like, look, I mean, that's basically the entire.
Look at Kurt Angle. Look how over Kurt Angle was.
Well, yeah, but like today, look at the New Day. Like the New Day is goofy as hell, and people love them.
But their faces again. Like I'm saying, like look back at Kurt Angle. He was the bad guy in Goofy. You know. Yeah. So
no, I'm just saying, like either way, they both play. You can be over goofy either way. It's the way you approach it. But if you're gonna be you know, anything of substance, you got to get wins, and you got to look good in the ring, and, be goofy elsewhere. But
that's what they're doing. It's all about wins and losses in AEW, so that's great.
I think the Best Friends as a tag team, especially with that, they pick up the win here, and we'll see a little bit of goofiness. But I think we're gonna we're going to see a solid tag match, just to kind of establish the tag division.
I completely agree with everything you just said there. I think we're gonna see the best friends end up winning this one.
SCU
versus the Strong Hearts, who I know very little about because another overseas team that's not in New Japan, it's not in All Japan. They're from oh God, are they a Korean based? Is that where they're out of?
Is this like they've got so many talent exchanges going on?
Yeah.
It's really hard to follow. I think this is going to be another intro match. I think SCU goes over.
Yeah.
But I think Strong Hearts are going to look strong.
Yep.
And this is going to be, again, another intro match to some new talent that we haven't seen before. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of this talent from Strong Hearts they've got some plans for, and beating SU would be a nice rub. Yep. Like, I mean, what a better way to get over Strong early than beating SU. Like, yep. I mean, a very established team. Yep. So I really don't know what to expect out of this, other than the fact that SU is going to give you a good in-ring. They're good in ring regard. Like, they work with anybody. So I think again, because it's the first show ever, the further up the card it gets a little easier to kind of make picks and whatnot. But with some of this overseas talent, we're going to see strong efforts from them, win or lose. We're going to get a lot of backstory from them, and we're going to get introduced to them, which is fantastic moving forward, because I know the number, like I keep seeing today, I kept seeing 59 people signed to 59 wrestlers signed to AEW, and I went and looked at the roster. It's not 59, like they've got 59 people signed, but that's like men, women, officials, trainers, like really, I mean, so they do kind of need to keep rounding out that roster. It feels like they could use 8 to 10 more guys and 4 or 5 more women. Not tomorrow, but as they move forward. So I think we're going to see a lot of these talent exchanges, especially from overseas, and early on to get them established, especially if there's going to be this talent trade going on and they want to make some of them household names for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see these other new talent. Like we've seen WWE bringing in with NXT guys from Ring of Honor and New Japan who we were already familiar with. It's been a while since we've had new talent like on this level that we haven't seen before. So it's pretty exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah.
I tend to lean towards SCU picking up a win.
I agree.
The triple threat.
Yep.
I'm a pretty big fan of Britt Baker.
Me too. And I mean, if you watched our unboxing video from the recent Pro Wrestling Tees Pro Wrestling Crate, it came with a Britt Baker DDS toothbrush, which was fantastic. I laughed out loud. I couldn't help it. It was just so unexpected. And I really enjoyed that. So
obviously we've got Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Kylie Ray. I feel like this is, I want to say it's going to be Britt Baker, but I feel like they need to build, like they need the way they want to build and establish Nyla Rose, especially early. Mm-hmm. She looks like she's going to be kind of like the dominant heel in the women's division. At least that's just looking at it initially. Maybe she picks up a win here and before there's a title involved, and that way the heels got a little bit of heat on them.
I'm going with Kylie. They've done a good job of having the women in the on the roster say, Kylie doesn't have what it takes, or Kylie isn't going to be able to win that match. She doesn't have the killer instinct that these other wrestlers do. And that to me says, okay, this is somebody who, that goes one of two ways. Either they're going to put Kylie on a losing streak to start off to really make that proved and have her have to overcome, or this is where she gets to come in, right off the bat and say, hey, look, I am credible and I can win a big match, and I do have that killer instinct. It's got to be one way or the other, and since they don't have TV right now, I tend to lean towards her picking up a victory, maybe with like a roll up or something, maybe a surprise win. But I see her possibly winning this match. I think it's a very good possibility.
Or one possibility would be give her something to overcome. Her in a position where she has like Britt beaten, and she's going for the pin, and Nyla breaks it up and beats her, and then that does give her, again, it puts a little bit of heat on Nyla. It gives Kylie something to overcome without making it look like she's going to go on a protracted losing streak, and it does set up feuds for the future. They do have some options here. I don't think there's any wrong way to go in terms of who wins or loses this match. As long, I mean, there's certainly a way that it could be a toilet bowl match. You could book it into oblivion, but in terms of like who actually wins, because it is first show, and you're establishing storylines, as long as you have an idea of the direction you want to go in and you kind of know the stories you want to tell with each of them, as long as it's booked correctly for that, I think any one of them could win and come out just fine.
I agree, but who's your pick?
I think I'm going to go with Nyla. I think okay. She gets the rub, gets a little bit of heat, and I think it's very a very opportunistic win. It's going to be, she's going to take advantage of one of the other women being like in a bad way, and power her down and really and just be that powerful heel. Yep. So that's my guess.
And the next match here, we got the Battle of the Roads, though I don't know if they're going to call them the Roads in the match, but because they're advertising it as Cody versus Dustin.
So what do I want to happen, or what do I think's going to happen? Because what I want to happen is I want it to go 25 minutes and end in a schmaz where God comes out and kills them both and sets up a Cody Dustin versus God match
for the both sets of belts.
Yeah. Something like that. Like that's what I want to happen. Look, I think if Dustin's only doing a one-time thing, Cody's going over.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity if Dustin's going to work for like a year with the company. I think there's an opportunity for him to be really good as a heel, something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Dude, heel Goldust, 1990s heel Goldust was no joke.
Yep.
And if he could tap into some of that like the just that weird heel chemistry he can kind of have, and he screws his brother.
Yeah.
Like he wins dirty. I could see that, and I almost prefer that because it gives Cody, they've been talking about how much they want to have this match, and it's about legacy and this and that. The other, have Dustin win it dirty, and really rub Cody the wrong way, and have Dustin play up a heel for a while. I think I'd like to watch that, and I kind of hope so. If Dustin's only doing a little bit, I look for Cody to win. Yeah. If Dustin's only going to do a few matches and then kind of transition more backstage, I think this match could be the show stealer, though.
Yeah, so to get a little bit off topic, but not really. Again, if you haven't seen early Goldust, go back and watch the Hollywood's backlot street fight between him and Roddy Piper at WrestleMania. go watch some of his promo stuff early on, and some of his matches with Mark Marrow. Early heel Goldust is fantastic, and I think he's looking like that might be the case. I mean, he's talked about Cody having the silver spoon, and getting more attention than what he got from his father, and they've been cutting these promos, and it sounds like it's they're really playing up on their childhood and their past histories. So it seems like maybe Goldust or Dustin is gonna play a heelish role, and I see him probably picking up a loss. I mean I don't know how you're gonna have Cody lose that match if Goldust is basically calling one of the guys who's gonna be the face of your company soft and silver
dirty
spoon.
Bob, dirty. That's how he wins the match.
Yeah, well, I mean that would have to be the case, but I just think they're gonna probably put Cody over in this one. It would make sense, especially if he's going to be staying away from the title picture a while. You kind of want to keep him looking strong for future matches, especially if it looks like it's going to go with him versus Jericho. You don't really want to have him coming off a loss to Dustin.
Yeah, again, that's why I say dirty. If AEW is going to be sports based, they're going to enforce the rules. Maybe this winds up Cody wins by DQ. Dustin uses foreign object, something like that. I don't think. Again, if there's established rules that are being enforced, when a guy cheats to win, it matters. It doesn't look the other guy. It makes the cheater look weak, not the person who lost. It makes the guy who won and cheated to win look either weak or heelish or whatever the case may be. So I kind of, those are the two. If you're pressing me to narrow it down, I think Cody wins. But I think those are the two likely possibilities. If Dustin wins, it's going to be in a very heelish way. There's going to be some sort of foreign object or interference. Like I said, though, ideally, what I would really want to see, I want to see these guys tear the house down for like 25 minutes, and then I want to see someone else, another tag team, hit the ring, because I want to see them in a tag together. That's the next step. I want to see them, the brothers, come together to fight somebody else. That's what I would like to see. So I think that's less likely because, again, there's just not as many tag teams out there right now and available to work that angle. There's nobody other, like GOD. I named GOD, but again, they're New Japan, Ring of Honor commitments, all this. Like, it's not realistic. That's fantasy booking 101, guys. Absolutely. So would I like to see it? Absolutely. Do I think there's a tag team out there that right now that makes sense to work that angle? I don't know. Not that I'm aware of that is available. Again, there are tag teams out there. There's just none that I am aware of that are available. Maybe I'm wrong. If the Briscoes hit the ring and kick the hell out of them, I'm not complaining. All right, like there's tag teams out there. So, but yeah, if you're pressing me to pick, I'm gonna pick Cody, but I also could see Dustin winning dirty.
Yep. And I mean, do you think this is going to be our final look for Dustin? I mean, he got like a half face paint thing going on with the red and black. Do we think he's coming out fully in the paint, or we think he's going to come out without any paint, or the half and half look? Like what are we thinking here? Because I'm not really feeling the half and half look. I'm kind of hoping if he's going with the paint, he fully goes full paint.
I don't know. Maybe he does the half and half look for part of the story in the match, where it's very like he has like a duality where he's wrestling with internal demons, about fighting his brother, but his brother being more successful and getting more attention. I don't know. I am less worried about that and more worried about them being ready. Again, like I'm saying, this could steal the show. We've seen them do this, and it was less than stellar in WWE, but that was WWE. They're going to get to work the match they want to work here. Yep. They're going to get, I would imagine, 20, 25 minutes and be able to tell a story and really pull us in. So I am less hung up about whether it's going to be half face or full face, unless it directly ties into the story. If it doesn't make sense in the story, then we'll come back and talk about it after the event. But, I'm just happy to see a guy like Dustin, who's been around the business so long. He's in probably the best shape he's been in 20 years. You go back and watch his stuff in WWE, the limited stuff they were letting him do. He looked fantastic the last couple of years. So I'm really excited for this match.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about the half and half thing that gives me like bad flashbacks to like Roddy Piper and the half and half. And I'm just, if you don't know what that is, kids, look it up. I'm sure it's on the network.
Yeah, that's a little different, Bob. I think that's a little different. This is going to be a great match.
Yeah,
like this is going to be freaking awesome. Okay, like if there is no show stealer, like I said, Cody and Dustin has the potential to be a show stealer. This is probably going to be my favorite match on the card.
It's also the only match on the card for a championship.
Yes, it is. It's for the AAA World Tag Team Champions Championship. Bucks versus Lucha Brothers. Look, I think the Bucks are not winning.
Yeah, I think
time limit draw. Do we smell a time limit draw here?
I don't know. I foresee the Lucha Bros get those belts back. I mean, they have a contract to uphold with AAA, and I can see them going back to AAA with those belts to defend them. So. I foresee them, coming out with victors in this one, but the match they had on AAA, it got like Monday Night War like quality ratings for AAA. It was crazy. Like they were just. We haven't seen those ratings since like Raw Nitro during like the Monday Night Wars. It was nuts. So. Obviously, the Bucks showing up and working with them really drew in fans to watch the product, and I think putting over the Lucha Bros in this match and them going back to Mexico is going to help AAA continue to draw in fan interest.
And I think this is a match we're going to see many, 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 many more times moving forward. Hopefully not to the point of burnout, but I have a feeling this is going to be the start of a very long feud.
Yeah.
So yeah, my pick, I'm going to pick Lucha Brothers as well, but I think there are some alternative endings that are worth exploring, whether it's, again, we haven't heard much about time limits yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a learning experience. I really hope that when they announce the first match, we hear this match is one fall to a finish with a 20-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Like that's what if I hear that, I'm going to be immediately start the show very happy. So I don't know. Could we get a time limit draw? Could we get I don't think in this match I think we're going to have a definitive winner. I tend to think that's going to be the Lucha Brothers. If there's not a definitive winner, I don't see it being a DQ or schmozzy. I see it being a time limit draw where it's like, well, we got to do this again, So, I'm going to pick the Lucha Brothers.
I'm not super familiar with AAA's roster. I mean, there is the possibility that there is another tag team there that is really over that they might want to see hold the titles. And so, I mean, it's possible that since they have a working relationship with AEW, that maybe the Bucks retain, and then at whatever the next big AEW show is, they go up against another AAA tag team. Like I'm just not sure. That all depends on who's in AAA and what their working relationship with AEW is. So I mean, there is that possibility, but my belief is still that the Lucha Bros will likely be the winners of this match.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's going to be great either way. So
yeah, and then what
main event.
Think's the main event? I mean, it definitely seems like it's probably going to be the main event.
Bob, think. Like, this is the main event.
Hey.
And if it's not the main event, it's still the main event, okay? Like, it's Chris Jericho, it's Kenny Omega. It's the main event.
Rematch from New Japan?
This is the match where I think we start to see the direction of the main event card really takes shape.
I agree.
If Jericho wins, and I think we're going to learn about who's going to win this match by who wins that battle royal.
Yep.
Because, and we were talking a little bit about this off air. Jericho's really the only main event heel they have right now. They have some very high quality and potentially high quality heels, but you know, I kind of, if I'm slotting them, it's Jericho's 1, and then 2 would have been Pac.
Yep.
Right. Like, and Pac's on a part-time contract where we've already seen like that's not realistic, at least at this point. There's really nobody there.
Yeah.
And I can't.
The only other guys you got are MJF and Joey Janela. And Joey's still injured, I do believe, and Joey's
kind of a tweener. Like he could go either way still.
Yep.
And I think MJF, while being a very young, very talented guy, I don't know if he's ready for a main event spot. Like will he be ready in 2 years? Probably.
Yeah.
I have a couple of issues. He when he stands next to anybody else, he looks very small. That's going to be something he's going to struggle to overcome. His work rate maybe comes up, and that helps it. He's got incredible promos, man. You want to hate the guy.
Yeah.
Like, you just want to hate the guy. If you've watched any MLW and the stuff he's doing over there with Dynasty, like, he's not likable, and that's great. Like, and I say that with all the compliment and all the deference that it is meant. Like, I appreciate when a guy is good at making you not like them, because that can be really hard to do in this climate. He's really not likable dude. So could he be a top level heel eventually? Yeah, I just don't think he has enough gravitas yet. He's not there to where if it's MJF versus Kenny Omega,
yeah.
Like
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good match, but I'm not losing my mind. And there's not a big name heel out there other than Jericho. I mean, I suppose let's say it's Moxley that comes into that spot, right? He's going to be hugely over right away because he's thumbed his nose at the WWE. He's come to AEW, you know, again, assuming, if he wins and Omega goes over, you have the problem where you have 2 baby faces going for that title. Now, it'll work, but
they could try to get him to cut like the promo of, you know, hey, I took a bigger contract, some more creative control, but the competition here isn't very good. Look, I come in my first night and beat like half your roster, and I'm number 1 contender. Like, you guys aren't anything. And, you know, hey, Kenny Omega, sure, you were a big deal in Japan, but I was a big deal in the U.S., and, you know, I've been champion here. He could do that, and they could try turning him heel that way. So it could work. I just don't know how eager the fans would be to buy into that after the way he left WWE. And
exactly.
Yeah. So,
and the other issue is, Bob, they don't have the TV time to build that story. I don't think and this is kind of what we said as well. I don't think one promo is enough to do it. I think Moxley could do it if he was given weekly TV. He could do it in 3-4 weeks.
Well, it sounds like so I guess it depends on how soon they have a world title match, but it sounds like they're going to have this fighter event in conjunction with there's something called Fighter, which Kenny Omega's putting together in conjunction with CEO, the video game expo.
Sorry.
And then there's also Fight for Fallen. And then there was this rumor of a UK show, and Cody basically confirmed they're going to be doing one soon on recent being the Elite. So it looks like they're going to be a UK show. And then the rumor is September is when we're looking at a possible return to Chicago for a show. And then TV starting in October. So if they're not looking to have a champion crowned until September, just before they go to TV. That gives them, 4 pay-per-view shows for promos to be cut, for, tag team matches for those guys to, match up in some kind of like 6-man tag or 2-on-2 match, and kind of get under each other's skin before the title comes up. If they are planning on having Fight for Fallen being where they crown the champion, then I don't think having Moxley be a heel is going to work out as well, because they're not going to have time to build it. So, I mean, it really depends on when they're going to put the championship on somebody.
I still think and my guess is it'll be the next big pay-per-view, which it looks like it'll be called All Out or something similar to that. That's kind of one of the ones I think that's kind of what I'm assuming it's going to be called.
Yeah.
That's one of the names they copyrighted.
Yep.
And the next Chicago show, the big Chicago show, it looks like it's going to be the next big one right before TV starts. That's my guess. I still don't know that if, like, I don't know. We don't know how many actual of those shows are actually going to be pay-per-views. And I don't know without regular TV, getting people to buy in to Moxley as a heel, with the rub that he got from thumbing his nose at WWE and coming over. I just think that's a really big hurdle to overcome. So you're looking at kind of a face match for the title, which again, that could work, because it could be very much I'm the best. Well, let's go find out who's the best. And I think that Omega and him would put on a hell of a match. I think it's more logical, though, to have a natural heel face rivalry for that title. And I think it also, no offense to Kenny, Jericho's the bigger name.
Yeah.
Like in America, he's the bigger name, at least right now. I think it makes sense to have Jericho in the first ever title match, win or lose. Because, there's an argument. People make the argument all the time. He's he's a GOAT. And if you put the other guy over the GOAT in the title match, that's great. Or you put the title on Jericho, it gives all these other baby faces, because, Kenny's a baby face. If Punk comes, he's a baby face. All these guys are going to be babyface because everybody's really happy to see them. Mm-hmm. It gives all these faces a heel to chase, because Jericho has already established himself as a pretty hateable dude, because he's Chris Jericho, right? He is a GOAT. Like, he's one of the best ever. So there's a natural thing. Okay, if you put the title on Jericho first, you give him a go. It gives Kenny somebody to chase. It gives, anybody else that comes over somebody to chase. It gives Cody somebody to chase. Especially, I think we're going to see that Cody Jericho thing at some point. Mm-hmm. So it makes a lot of sense. If you're pressing me to pick, I kind of, oh man, it's tough. This is a tough pick. I'm going to say Jericho wins.
Right. Well, I got some questions for you still. So before I give my pick, one, do you think AEW fans who have been asking for something different from WWE and have been told that they're going to get something as an alternative are going to be okay with the first AEW championship match being between two former WWE guys? So if it's Moxley and Jericho, do you think everybody's going to be like, all right, that's fine? Or do you think you're going to see some fan backlash, specifically online, to, all right, well, we were told this is going to be different, but now we got two WWE guys in here in the main event for the title?
No, because both of those guys chose to leave WWE to come to AEW. Like, at the beginning. Mm-hmm. This isn't just grass is greener. They like, Jericho made the move very early, and Moxley, assuming that that's what's going to happen, he's coming. He turned down allegedly what was a monster contract to come. Like WWE is throwing around a lot of money to re-sign people. The other part of that is I think if the only way, let me put it this way, the only way I see criticism happening is if they did that match, if they booked that match and Jericho Omega looked like a WWE match and Moxley looked like Dean Ambrose. Yeah. Like if Moxley comes and does nothing but Dean Ambrose matches until that match, I think there'd be some criticism.
Yeah.
I think where the tipping point would be is if we got that match and Jericho and Moxley put on a WWE match against each other, I think all hell would break loose. Do I think that's going to happen? No way in hell. Like there's no way. Like you go watch Chris Jericho's New Japan stuff, there is no way in hell we're getting a WWE match out of these guys. Like Jericho just will not allow it to happen. So no, like I see where you're coming from, Bob. Yeah. Like that initial, like, oh, it's two guys. Now, if it were other guys in another situation, let's say AEW had been running for a couple of years and then all of a sudden a couple of WWE guys move and they just get shoved into the main card, the main event for the title. Yes, I think there'd be beef, and especially if they're just doing the same thing that they did in WWE. Yep. If Moxley comes over and gives us little bits of Ambrose mixed in with, new stuff, and Jericho's giving us Japan Jericho, New Japan Jericho, giving us AEW Jericho, I think nobody's going to have a problem with it. I think that people are going to be like, okay, this is something different because it's going to look vastly different. Just because they're two guys that happen to both, be WWE guys at one point, they both said no to not in a, well, maybe, like they both actively were like, see you later, Vince.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the reason I asked is because we have seen that people online have already tried comparing AEW to WCW and TNA. We did a whole video about it, and that's why I felt we needed to discuss it, and it had to be brought up because personally, I don't see a problem. I think both guys having chosen to go to AEW. Neither one, it wasn't like either one of them were out of work and then, signed with the company. They signed some guys who had been on the indies for a while and didn't have like a big payday or whatever. And that's why they're there. These are guys who, made the decision no longer to work with WWE. So I don't see a problem with it, but it was a question that had to be asked. Another question, and this goes back to your mentioning of Jericho working in New Japan. So do you think AEW is going to, it's a good idea to put a guy who, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to lose in a world title match to the New Japan champion, Kazuchika Okada, in the first title program for your company's belt? Being that, people could say, all right, well, this guy couldn't get a title match won elsewhere recently, and now he's in your main event for the championship. Do you foresee a problem there?
No, I mean, it's something to be talked about at least. I think because I would imagine that Okada Jericho is going to go 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. Right? It's going to be super competitive, and it's going to be razor thin.
Yeah.
He's proving, and this is the thing about, again, when is that match scheduled for, Bob?
I believe it's for I believe it's like start of June, like okay. Soon, very soon.
Which is good because he doesn't have the belt. I'm okay. I'm okay with Jericho taking a loss in a razor thin, like a razor thin, for a razor thin margin against another company's champion, as long as there's some long term thing where he can go back and get not necessarily win that belt, but go reclaim that win against Okada, and maybe you work that in. He takes a loss to Okada, he wins the AEW title. Okada comes into AEW and challenges Jericho, and then Jericho beats them to retain. It puts them both as that main event elite guy. That's the one time you can have like 50-50 booking. There's 2 or 3 guys that are like, always arguing who's the best, and as long as they're not fighting each other every week, you can exchange 1-for-1 losses over a period of 6 months if they're kept way far apart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that makes sense, because you're talking about, and you bill that as this is one of the elite guys in all of the world, and came down to the line, the very end came down to the wire, and Jericho was just a teensy bit short, and then 6 months later, you bring him in, and Okada does the honors, and it's the same thing. Jericho, Okada was just a teensy bit short, and these are 2 of the best in the world, 2 of the best all time. Nobody's really going to argue that. Again, it goes back to that perception. Like the first question, if we were watching something like, if we were talking about the same thing we were talking about like Rusev and Titus coming over to do this match, like, then people would have beef.
Yep.
If we were talking about Jericho losing to R-Truth, for the 24/7 championship, or even like small promotions, like if he was going to one of the smaller, like if Jericho was going and losing to like the PWG champ or something like that, like a next tier down promotion, or even like Tom Lawler in MLW, right? Like, I would not be okay with that. And I like Tom Lawler a lot, and I like what MLW is doing for the most part, but I would not be okay with Chris Jericho taking a loss to Tom Lawler and then coming back. That would be way worse than losing to, say, Okada with the title. Like, okay, he's a world champion, he's one of the best in Japan, maybe you fall just a touch short. So,
and I mean, that match is I did look up that match. That is going to be at Dominion in Osaka, and it will be on June 9th. So that gives him plenty of time to, even if he loses,
60-minute time limit draw, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, even if he loses definitively, it gives plenty enough time for him to get back his heat before going into a title match. I mean, that you got a number of shows and a number of weeks of YouTube videos where he can be screwing. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see Jericho versus Cody before September. Like, it looks like that's the route they're going with how they're building things on being the elite, and Jericho showing up in Cody's office and asking for them to thank him for coming to the company. So, I mean, I think if he loses to Okada and then beats Cody at a future show, he's got all of that heat right back.
Well, or the flip of that, and this is kind of just, brainstorming, the flip of that is you do have Omega win, and you do make it like Moxley Omega for the title in September, and then that gives you Jericho Cody in September. So that's definitely a possibility as well.
Glad you said that, because that is why I'm picking Kenny Omega to go over in this match, and that's exactly where I was going. So yeah, that's been my thought. I'm like, if they are building a Jericho Cody feud, it doesn't make sense to have Jericho be going after the title and have a feud with somebody else on the roster. So it would make sense to put Kenny over, and then like I said, either if you're going to do something like Jon Moxley, maybe try to have him turn heel after that initial debut, Or if they go with someone like Paige, like I said, like have it be like, hey, this is the best guy in New Japan, and Paige hasn't ever held a world title, and he's hungrier than what Kenny is at this point, and kind of make it about like which one of them is going to be the better guy, and can Hangman hang with the best wrestler in the world, Kenny Omega, like that be the story. So I foresee maybe something like that happening, and that's why I'm picking Kenny Omega.
So very good points. I'm still going to lean towards Jericho for the reasons I stated, and one final reason. I don't think they would be making as big of a deal about Jericho getting a new finisher unless it was going to be used. And I don't think you use it unless it's going to work. Like I don't think that Omega's like, how bad would it look? You break out your new finisher and the guy kicks out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that would just look really bad. So they've been really pushing this new finisher, the Judas Effect. That coupled with, I think it makes sense to have Jericho kind of elevating with his status, elevating the title picture as it develops. I'm going to lean towards Jericho, but again, very good points. Like I could totally see Omega winning this, and that's one of the really exciting parts. Is like we can talk about like what we expect to happen, but we don't know the direction of the company.
Yeah,
we really don't. We're going to learn all this. We're going to learn a big chunk this weekend.
Yeah, there's none of this. Oh well, Roman Reigns is in a match, so he's going to go over. Like there's no for sure. There's no one on this roster, I don't think, in any of these matches where we can definitively say this person's winning that match. I mean, we started on the opening matches of the night there, and we were like, we don't know who's gonna even be in the battle royal yet, let alone who's gonna win that. We talked about the undercard, and we were like, until we get to the later on matches, to the main events, in the upper mid card stuff, we're not gonna know who. And as we went through this, we've consistently been able to say, well, we could see this happen as well in pretty much every match, and that's exciting.
It is easier to whittle down the main event to like one or two options, so to speak. But it is there's definitely some, at least some air of the unknown about this card. And that's, when you really think about it, like that's the best WWE cards of the last, handful of years, when there was a little bit of mystery, or they did kind of change things up and we were a little surprised in a good way. Like it kind of, that's what always piques our interest and gives us just a sliver of hope.
Yep.
And kind of draws us back in. But and we've got that up and down the cards. So I'm really excited, Bob. I think we're going to try and do a pay-per-view companion with this one. If I'm in town, I'll be there. We'll fire it up. I know we've talked about hosting the Starrcast Double or Nothing watch party. If you're coming over and you got something to say, we'll have the third mic set up. We can have people do drop-ins on the show. We'll it'll be a good old time.
Yeah, so be sure to check out our Facebook for that. There is an event page set up on our Facebook page, so check that out. If you can't find it for whatever reason, you can hit us up on either our Facebook or our Twitter. But taking a look at the card again here before we leave, I gotta say, I think the only match that we didn't have to have a discussion about who could actually end up winning was maybe the SCU Strong Hearts. Like, we were both kind of like, okay, we think SCU is going to win. I mean, we did say that they could have a surprise and, could establish these new guys by giving them a win. But we were kind of on the same page with that one. But and the rest of them, like we said the Battle Royal, like we don't have enough information really. Kip Sabian and Sammy Guevara, we said, probably a coin flip there. Same with the 6-woman tag. We said this was an establishing match. We had differing opinions of who was going to win in the Britt Baker and Nia Rose Kylie Ray match. We both, gave different options of who could win with Cody and Dustin. We, had a couple options in that AAA tag title match with the Bucks and Lucha Bros. We just went over Jericho and Omega. I mean, the best friends, I think we said the best friends, we both said they'd go over. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Angelico and Jack Evans got, a surprise win. So for the whole card, it's really, we don't have a for sure going into any of these. And
yeah, there's a couple that just kind of make sense, like the best friends and SCU kind of makes sense, and you kind of think that's what you're going to get, but you wouldn't be stunned to have any of the matches go in a different direction. Yep. My big thing is the kind of the biggest things that I'm looking for out of this weekend, because I know what I'm going to get in the ring is going to be enjoyable. Like, I know this is going to look like a New Japan Ring of Honor-esque show. Like it's just going to be athletic and competitive and tell some of a story at least. And the really good matches will tell a great story. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know I'm going to get that. I know it's kind of like the WWE. I know when I tune in and you put Seth and AJ in a ring together, it's going to be good. Like whether I care or not, it's another story. But I know for the time that I'm actually watching the match, it's going to be very good, right? I know that. I don't doubt that. What I want to see is immediate establishment of storylines. I want to see the rules and how they handle the rules. I want to see the new presentation. I want to see if they're going to give us the AEW official rollout. They keep hammering it, wins and losses, analytics, sports feel. I want to see if that happens and to what degree, and I want to see the production value. Mm-hmm. I want to see where AEW is starting in terms of lighting, video, audio quality, and like timing, their camera shots. I hope to God we don't get shaky cam. I hope we get more of a traditional wrestling shoot with the hard cam and a couple of very steadily stable mounted shoulders to pick up the action.
As long as they don't go cutting from the ring to the crowd to the ring to the crowd to the backstage of the ring to the crowd like frickin' Bucky Beaver over there in WWE does, I will be ecstatic because I am tired. I am tired of getting motion sickness from watching WWE programming.
Bob, you're very trying.
Your Kevin, your impression of Jim Cornette doing an impression of Kevin Dunn is fantastic. So with all that said, I think that covers everything for Starrcast and Double or Nothing. I'm super excited. As we said, be sure to check out us on Facebook, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here. Twitter, and we're on YouTube and Twitch, all of which are Smarkdown Radio. If you find us on Facebook, you can totally check out our watch party and get all the information you need on that. And right now up on the screen, you'll see that we have video of why AEW is not WCW or TNA, and video footage playlist from our Starrcast time at the first Starrcast. So be sure to check those out. And thank you for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, it's time to push the button and go home.